just having the opportunity to lead the oldest unit here on post. And you're probably aware, but the Electronic Proving Ground reopened Fort Huachuca after it had been turned over to the state of Arizona. We were looking for a place, the Army was looking for a place to test electronics and unmanned aerial systems. And coming out of World War II and the Korean War, we needed to really start getting everything tested and meeting standards. And so they picked Fort Huachuca because the beautiful valley here and the mountain range that makes the mid. Just being able to command such a wonderful unit. And the people are just great. They're so smart. I love watching them problem solve. So I'm a ENFP, if you've studied the Myers-Briggs. So I like to see things start, and I don't know how to get them going. They just make all the magic happen. And so just being the commander here has been my biggest achievement. Just being afforded that opportunity and learning. Being married to her too, it's just wonderful. And then pulling off tests like the terrestrial layered system MAMPAC. It's a system that we needed to go forward. The soldiers that came and tested it for us hadn't had the opportunity to turn it on their equipment on outside because of the restrictions to have other posts. And so you come here, we have a lot of freedom and flexibility because of the open air environment, because of the mountains, because of the quiet nature of the spectrum here. These soldiers been doing electromagnetic attack for years, but only do it inside or on simulators. Here they got to do it for real, and they were doing a great job. And just seeing them when they first started, they were a little apprehensive, like, you can turn it on? Until after, we're like, oh my God, I did this and I jammed that, and I was able to find this, this signal, and that to me was awesome. And then that system's deployed now, and the task forces come back and they're using it. So just seeing stuff like that, working with people that I get to work with, being in this community. I think you're from here, the area.
The state.
Yeah. But yeah, just being a member of this community has just been wonderful. I mean, with the governor coming and the mayor, just love the mayor. He's so fantastic. Just a wonderful opportunity. So.
Yeah, makes sense. And obviously, you mentioned the governor was down here. It looks like there's a lot of support for you guys and the work that you did. But at the same time, there was a lot of talk about the risk that possible restructuring could pose. How do you see that dynamic playing out in the coming years for the electronic proving ground?
I'm worried. I hope the Army has, the Army's got to make some tough decisions, right? And so, as we move from more of a kinetic warfare type into a warfare type where you're going to have to rely on more comms, you're going to have to rely on electromagnetic warfare. If they decrease us too much, the Army loses that ability to properly test things. I know the Army's trying to go faster in the acquisition process and cut back on traditional FAR-based acquisition, but there's areas as a program manager that we can definitely reduce acquisition timelines. A lot of it's put into place by the Senate and Congress, and so it's by law. So you can't. So you could wish it to go one way, but until you have the backing of the lawmakers, we still have to follow the laws. And testing is absolutely imperative, especially developmental testing. You got to make sure the stuff's safe to use. You got to make sure that it meets the requirement. Is it better than what the soldiers have now, or the airmen, or the sailors, Marines, all the other services, our foreign military partners? Does the system work, right? So vendors promise all sorts of things until you put it into action to see how it really works. You don't get that by just buying whatever's on the shelf and then exposing it to soldiers who are about to go into harm's way. You need to make sure it works in the right environments, and that's what we do here at the Electronic Proving Ground. On the battlefield, it's not the place to do it. So I understand trying to go fast. We have to have a good balance, and I think if we were to put all of the operational testers and the evaluators into each of the test centers, we would have an acquisition hub here where everything can get taken care of in a much shorter timeline. Much more affordable, and a lot, probably a lot better acquisition-esque, right? I'm trying to use words that are more common, but to make it so that the whole process works better for everyone, right? Faster, better, and more reliable.
So, and I know you guys have had some workforce reductions, and there's been talk of more of that possibly happening. How badly would you say that would affect what the electronic proving ground does and how it supports its other armed forces partners?
Yeah, so again, the Army as an institution looks across all the formation to make the cuts that this administration has desired. It seemed to go fast. It seemed to go with little thought. No, there's a lot of thought that went into it. But I don't know, it just seemed to go really fast and decisions are being made really quickly. I hope the Army has a good plan. If they cut us anymore, it will be detrimental to our mission, in my opinion, right? I just worry that if they take more away from EPG, won't be able to fulfill its missions. So I hope the Army comes back with a smart way of doing reductions. Doge, trust, whatever we want to call it. I wish there was more from the higher levels consideration of what the missions are at the bottom level. Focus maybe more on the in between. So there's a lot of personnel at the middle levels, but when you come out to where the units of action are, like EPG or the other test centers, we take the cuts. Doesn't make sense to me. We're the ones doing the mission, right? So, but that's my opinion. Again, Rob Barnhill speaking, not on behalf of the Army, but just my opinion.
So, do you feel that some of the other similar places, like Yuma, could that in any way sort of fill the void that may be left in the work the electronic proving ground here does?
So the uniqueness of each of the test centers, and I know ATEC has done as best as they can with the restrictions that the department's put onto them to try to balance the cuts. If one test center like us gets cut, like we will, to maybe look at other places, possibly. I hope we don't move things. But there's certain things you can't do at the other test centers that you can do here. One is our open air frequency allocation allows us to do a lot more robust. Other test centers have done things, but you didn't get the breadth and the depth that we are able to offer here. One thing that we enjoy here is I also have a very, very strong lab base as well. So if something's not working out in the environment and we can't figure out why, if it's environmental, I have an environmental lab to see, some radios are overheating, we can understand why. We'll take it up to my electromagnetic environmental effects testing facility up in Blacktail, and they'll look at what kind of interference is going on, what's happening. Maybe it's a battery, maybe it's